we have our test 2 is coming up in about 2 weeks. And it's going to contain all the stuff that we've been learning in chapter 2. So that's graphing lines, finding the slopes of lines, writing equations from a table or from a graph or from a situation. We'll be practicing all that stuff. There's really not that much more new stuff that we're going to go over the next 2 weeks. It's mostly just going to be practice to get you ready for that. But I want to remind you that everything from chapter 1 is also on the test. So that includes solving equations and all the other stuff we did in chapter 1, like taking a table and turning it into a graph, describing a graph and all that kind of stuff. So let's make sure we're keeping these skills sharp. I'm going to go ahead and put some notes on the back of my chapter 2 packet. I'd encourage you to do that on yours as well, where it says other notes here. This is something that you're going to be using over and over again this year. So I left you a space on the back of your chapter 2 packet to put some other notes. And I'd encourage you to get this on there. What I'm going to give you some quick notes on is how to simplify equations before you solve. Sorry. There we go. Thank you for letting me know. So I'm on the other notes section on the back of the chapter 2 packet. And this is something that you're going to use all this year and next year and the year after that and the year after that. And as long as you take math, you're going to use this same skill. So let's get this down and make sure we got it. Simplify equations before you solve. There are 3 things you should do every time you approach a new equation before you start adding and subtracting things from both sides. If you remember to do these 3 things first, it's going to make your life a lot easier. It's just going to reduce the number of steps that you need to solve. So these 3 things are, number 1, parentheses. Now, we have not run into very many equations with parentheses yet, but you're going to see a lot of them in the next chapter. So I'm going to go ahead and include that in my list here. Number 2, combine like terms. But there's an important thing to remember about this. They must be on the same side of the equal sign. A lot of people forget to do this, and then they end up making a really common mistake solving equations. So make sure you're always looking for like terms to combine before you start solving. And then the third one is x's on both sides of the equation. We don't want x's on both sides, so we're going to deal with that before we solve. So x on both sides. If you end up with an x on both sides of the equation, we want to get rid of it on one side. If you guys will remember to do these 3 things at the beginning when you're solving any equation for the rest of the year, this is going to set you up for success. Okay? Now, we haven't seen parentheses. I haven't taught you how to deal with that yet, but that's coming up soon. So you're not going to see this very much. It's mostly going to be these second 2 things. So let's apply that to our warm-up problem. If you've already done the warm-up problem, I want you to see how your steps fit into this. Okay? All right, so look at this first equation and tell me, do you see any parentheses? No. Do you see any like terms that you can combine? Remember, we cannot combine across an equal sign. Now, 7x and 4x are like terms, but can we combine them? No, they're on opposite sides. These are like terms. Can we combine them? Nope, because they're on opposite sides of the equal. So we've taken care of parentheses. We've taken care of combining like terms. The last one is check and see, do you have x's on both sides? Yes, we need to deal with that. We need to either get rid of this 7x or get rid of the 4x. No wrong answer here. What did you guys choose, though? I would probably do the 4x also, but if you did minus 7x on both sides, your work's going to look different, but you'll get the same answer as me. So what's that leave us? 7x minus 4x leaves us with 3x. We've got minus 5 equals and 16 here. And we've gone through our checklist, but I'll just check everything again. No parentheses, there's no like terms, and we only have x on one side. So we are ready to solve this now. So now we're just going to work on getting this x by itself. Start by getting rid of that minus 5. We'll do a plus 5 on both sides to get rid of that. Three x equals 21. And then we just need to get rid of the 3, and we'll have x by itself. 3 is multiplying, so we'll divide by 3 on both sides to get x equals, what's 21 divided by 3? 7. X equals 7. I think that's my solution, but I'm going to check just to make sure. The way we can check is we put it into the equation. So I already had my equation copied from up here. I just left all my x's out. And now I put a 7 in place of those x's. And I'm going to just simplify this and make sure both sides match up. So I've got 7 times 7 is 49, and 49 minus 5 is 44. So that side's 44. What I'm hoping is that this side will also be 44. If it is, then we did it right. 4 times 7 is 28, and 28 plus 16 is also 44. So that checks out. That means that's correct. I know that I got that solution correct. So please make sure that on our test in 2 weeks that you guys are checking your solutions. All right, let's look at this second one. We're going to go through the checklist one more time. So parentheses, we're done there. There's no parentheses. Do you see like terms? Do you see two things on the same side of the equation that can be combined together? This time I do. This 10x and this negative 8x, they both have x's, so they're like terms, and they're on the same side of the equation, so we can put them together. 10x minus 8x is 2x. All right, so we got our like terms combined. Do you see x's on both sides? I only see x on one side, so we're good. We've done all three of these things. We're ready to solve now. Let's start getting rid of this negative, or this positive 7. We can do minus 7 on both sides to make that go away. 2x equals negative 21 minus 7 is negative 28. And then divide by 2, x equals negative 28 divided by 2 is negative 14. I think that's my solution. I'm just going to plug it back into my equation and check. So I'm putting negative 14 in here and in here. And this time around, I think I'm just going to take this whole big old mess and stick it in my calculator. This is kind of a fancy graphing calculator, but your calculator would do the same thing. I'm just going to type that whole thing in with the parentheses and all. 10 times negative 14 plus 7 minus 8 times negative 14. That's this whole side right here. And that whole side is negative 21, which is the same as we have over here, which is good. That means our answer is correct. Negative 14 is our solution. Any questions there? Questions? All right, folks, I'm going to